Good morning and good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to everyone joining our webinar today. A special thank you to all members of the media who have taken the time to be with us for this AMER Academy session with Target Malaria. We have French interpretation on the line, so please make sure to select that option if you prefer. My name is Natalie D'Amico, and I'm your moderator for today's webinar. I am joined by our two speakers from Target Malaria, Jean Berber and Louise Marston, who I will formally introduce to you in a short while. We're excited to be hosting this conversation and live demonstration in the lead up to World Malaria Day 2025, which takes place on April 25th. This year's global theme is equity, innovation, and impact. It is a powerful call to action that reminds us all that eliminating malaria is not just a health issue, it's a matter of justice, creativity, and collective effort. Today's session is hosted in proud partnership with Target Malaria, an international not-for-profit research consortium who are committed to helping to save millions of lives from malaria. We encourage you to join the conversation online using our hashtags, #WorldMalariaDay and #EndMalaria, and by using our African Media Agency and Target Malaria social media handles. The chat and Q&A function on the webinar will be open throughout, so please feel free to drop your questions in as we go. We've carved out time specifically at the end of today's session to answer as many of them as possible. Following today's webinar, you will receive a detailed press pack with information discussed today in French and English. Now, before we dive in, just a quick reminder about AMER Academy, the training arm of African Media Agency. AMER Academy is committed to empowering African journalists with tools, insight, and skills they need to tell some of the most complex and urgent stories of our time. And few topics are as pressing as malaria. Malaria remains one of the deadliest but preventable diseases in Africa, with staggering stats to match. 95% of malaria-related deaths occur here, with the vast majority affecting children under 5. 94% of global cases are on the African continent, and in 2023 alone, there were 246 million cases and 569,000 deaths worldwide. Despite these numbers, funding remains far below what's needed, and current tools, while they are helpful, are no longer enough on their own. That's why innovations like Target Malaria the Game are so important. They don't just bring science to life, they help foster local curiosity, they inspire young people, and they empower communities to be part of the solution. And we're honored to be joined today by two brilliant speakers who represent both the scientific and community-focused sides of the story. I would like to introduce to you Jean Berber, Stakeholder Engagement Officer at Target Malaria based in Burkina Faso, who brings deep insight into how this project is connecting with communities on the ground. He's a sociologist by training and has several years' experience in social science research, particularly on vector-borne diseases. As part of Target Malaria, he engages in dialogue with decision makers, regulatory authorities, civil society, informal sector players, and communities with the view to facilitating exchanges on innovative technology and supporting the elimination of malaria through vector control. And Louise Marston, Senior Research Technician at the Chrysanthi Lab at Imperial College in London. Louise is responsible for conceiving the video game in collaboration with independent game developer Michael Marston. She is actively involved in developing innovative synthetic biology approaches for the genetic control of malaria-transmitting mosquitoes, focusing primarily on gene drive technologies. Between her studies, Louise traveled the world, which led her to work in schools and hospitals in Africa, where she witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of malaria and saw the significant, yet still inefficient, global efforts to eliminate the disease. Together, Jean and Louise will demonstrate the impact of Target Malaria the Game, an interactive educational experience designed to make science accessible and exciting, particularly for young people and communities in Africa. So with that said, let's dive into the future of malaria innovation, one game at a time. Jean, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. And just to say that today is an opportunity to talk to you who are connected to that webinar. Thank you also to you for connecting. So, as Natalie said, we have also our big concern in Africa has malaria, who still killing our children and also women. Notice that we have most of tools, bed nets, insecticide, medicine drugs, but malaria continue to kill our people. So, reflection being, you can notice that Target Malaria is an international not-for-profit research consortium. It includes scientists, stakeholder engagement team, risk assessment specialists, communication and regulatory experts from Africa, North America, and Europe. The goal is one: reduce mosquitoes number and reduce case and death. So, Burkina Faso is also affected by malaria, and Uganda too, Ghana too, and most of countries in the sub-Saharan in Africa. In Africa, we have 3 teams being involved in target malaria research. Burkina Faso, led by Professor Diabate in IRSS at Bobo Dioulasso. In Uganda, we have also Dr. Jonathan Kayondo in UVRI at Entebbe. That team work has said to develop a new tools with North American teams and Europe teams, yes, to have a new tool who can help contribute to reduce the number of cases and deaths linked to malaria. We have a diverse international research team being in CDC Foundation, University of Oxford, Imperial College, and so many teams. So we have also some teams who is developing the technology. We have also entomology field and ecology stakeholder engagement. We have most of skills, most of experts involved in the research of target malaria in the world. Population modeling, scientist advisor, lab fitness essay, and mosquitoes transgenic population genetic. We have many kind of skills in that research. And today, Louise Martin will talk about gene biotechnology and again.
Thank you, John and everyone. So I'll now take you through Target Malaria's approach to gene drive and what we do in the lab here. So it can be misunderstood as a technology. So I'll start by defining what it is. So what we're doing is we are adapting a natural mechanism in mosquitoes in order to spread a genetic modification. This allows, one, the biased inheritance of the genes from one generation to another. So the modification spreads from just a few individuals to the whole population much quicker than normal inheritance. The modification is also designed in a way that affects the mosquito reproductive ability in order to reduce the mosquito population and stop the transmission of malaria. So this holds the promise of being a self-sustaining and cost-effective tool, and it can control malaria in Africa whilst being complemented by existing tools that we already have. So as you can see here, with normal inheritance, the offspring get half from their female parent and half from their male parent. With the gene drive, the offspring, 100% of the offspring receive the gene drive. So it spreads much quicker, and that's why it's cost effective. Mhm. So to introduce the modifications in mosquitoes in the lab here, we inject a DNA solution containing the necessary genetic materials. It's microinjected into the posterior parts of the mosquito embryo, or egg as we normally call them, where the cells there are the ones that can transmit to their offspring. And the mosquitoes that have received this modification, they also have a fluorescence marker, which allows us to track which ones have been modified throughout generations. Now I'm excited to introduce you to Target Malaria, the game. There are, of course, many methods that are helping in the fight against malaria. And gene drive technology is one that would complement them. As well as this, though, we also need to be able to educate and inspire others into the usefulness of this technology. For without that, it's just not for anything. We need understanding. So, take you through a video of the game now.
First, head over to Target Malaria's page on itch.io and download the game. Once the file, Target Malaria the Game Installer, is downloaded, open it and run the installer. A pop-up window will appear called the Game Setup Wizard. Simply accept the license agreement. If you'd like to create a shortcut on your desktop, make sure to check that box, then click Next a few times to move through the setup process. The game will automatically start once the installation is complete. From there, select your preferred language and you're ready to dive in. When you enter the lab, use your left mouse button to explore the objects on display. Click on the micro-injector, then hit play to start the micro-injection module. Now, adjust the needle's height and begin injecting mosquito embryos. Precision is key here. Any mistake could damage both the embryo and the needle, which would need to be replaced, causing a delay. Speed is also important. The more embryos you inject within the time limit, the higher your chance of success and a better score. Next, to play the transgenic screening module, click on the fluorescence microscope. Choose one of the laser lights and see which one can spot the transgenic mosquitoes. Once you spot them, use the pipette to collect the transgenic larvae and place them into the screening dish. After you've screened all the transgenic larvae, submit the sample for analysis by clicking on the screening dish. Remember, the more transgenics you collect within the time limit, the higher your score, and you'll get a bonus for collecting them all in one batch. But be careful. Accidentally sorting non-transgenic larvae into the pot could mess up your experiment and cost you points. Good luck and let us know your score with the hashtag #TargetMalariaTheGame.
Thank you. So the game all came from a need to be able to explain our work. So we have a wide variety of people, from visitors, students, even politicians and conferences and things, and exhibitions, most importantly as well. But without live mosquitoes and large, heavy microscopes, it's been almost impossible to show our work in a interesting way that they can actually see it. So I am lucky enough that I knew a games developer, Michael, and we have collaborated together to make a game where people can put themselves in our shoes as a target malaria lab researcher and conduct the research for themselves. So it's available in French and English online, as you saw in the video. and it's designed so all ages and backgrounds can play. Also, it's designed to be playable on not just high-spec gaming computers, like a lot of big games, but on just normal low-spec computers to reach as many people as possible. So at the moment, we have two modules, the microinjection, which I explained a bit about in the process earlier, where you inject the DNA solution into mosquito embryos and get feedback on how well you've done. And then screening for transgenics module, which is where you see and sort out the modified mosquitoes with the fluorescence from the unmodified ones. So it's not designed to be super serious because we can't include every tiny little problem you have in the lab or every little thing, but it was designed to help include like the whole story of how we do our work and the importance of malaria research in general and the challenges it's already facing. It includes parts of like our lab, including real audio, from example, the doors opening the airflow, as well as what the microscopes really look like and the larvae really look like. So including as much as we can, but in a way that is accessible. So at the end, they will have learned how to modify mosquitoes, how we work in the lab, and we're also adding extra things, so creating your DNA solution to the outcome of the mosquitoes you've created in cages and potential in the wild for reducing malaria. We're also going to include simulations and videos of real life work in Africa as well. So this is just the beginning, but if you follow us, we'll be updating as we go along. So we have a mobile version. We're creating a mobile version, as many people have mobile phones, so we are making it as accessible by as many as possible. It's included in various languages and also on different types of laptops, so Mac. The mobile version should be ready by the end of the year, at least with these bits that we have on the computer, and we are still working on creating the whole story from beginning to end. So as I was saying, it's designed for low-spec computers, not just gaming computers. And once you have the game, there is no requirement for the internet to play either. So hoping to roll it out in different places in Africa, as Jean will explain.
Thank you, Louise Martons. And that is the opportunities to introduce the innovative tool for science, communication, and stakeholder engagement. What Louise presented here for us is a big and very useful tools for engagement, stakeholder engagement and communication. Let us talk a bit about stakeholder engagement. Stakeholder engagement is a mechanism, is also a principle, is a dialogue between scientists and communities who are the final beneficial of the technologies what is performing, developing, I will say it. You know, communication between scientists and also communities is not really easy, but we have to create, to build and maintaining, yes, constructive relationship over time the research process. Stakeholders like communities must know what scientists are doing in the lab for them. Also, scientists must also know the need of stakeholders about the concern they are fighting together. Then we can say that stakeholder engagement is a KPI of our approach to responsible research. Also, you can notice that between stakeholder engagement, we have two-way dialogue, communities to scientists, scientists also to communities. Communities have to ask to know, and scientists have also to inform in this wild process of the research. That means that teams are comprised of social scientists, communication experts, and stakeholder engagement practitioners. Mean that target malaria, the game, is very, very useful. We have several categories of stakeholder. That approach, we do that with the public administration services. We do also engagement with affect communities. We not forget also decision maker authorities. Then we have all of that process in Ghana team, in Uganda, and also in Burkina Faso. So scientists is connect to stakeholder by stakeholder engagement. Mean that we need more tools to talk about the research we are doing, the research activities we are doing as Target Malaria Consortium team. And the video game, we had many opportunities to present it in Unity Kingsdom. Some occasion like Imperial Ladies, the Great Exhibition Road Festival, New Scientist Lab in October. Yes, we had also time to present some kind of tools like cat game, Mosaic Drive, the swarm sonification, live mosquitoes and larvae, allowing visitors to come face to face with mosquitoes. We can say that that is very important to do in the team to connect with stakeholders. We have also most of time to present and open the lab to stakeholders. Like the game has a stakeholder engagement tools. In Burkina Faso, we present it to Women Association, Student Union, bloggers group. We had also some opportunities to present it to scientists. We had in Burkina Faso last year la journée scientifique de l'Institut de recherche en sciences de la santé, which took place at Koudougou in Burkina Faso. The scientific symposium during World Malaria Day at Entebbe in Uganda say that Target Malaria, the game, will be the one of activity show to target malaria stakeholder, especially student. Let us note that again, especially student. In community, we have some theater, we have also visual, but with a student, we don't have some kind of tool to help them to know what activities are performing in our lab. So, where to from here? More version of Target Malaria, the game. A beta launch on Mac, a mobile version. There is a potential for more version in local African language also. Help us get the word out. Whatever you are scientist enthusiast, yes, a student or gamer, Target Malaria, the game is your chance to explore how innovation can save lives. Play the game and let us know your IS score on social media using the hashtag. Get a bit time to that video. Yes, which can show you how to do that hashtag.
Le paludisme tue.
Ogni anno la malaria uccide 500,000 di persone e infetta oltre 200 milioni.
Ekitundu kimu kyakusatu mu nsi yonna be bali mu bulabe.
Ane kabi malaria sasa sembe mabelare fatafindu bankol laka.
La plupart des victimes sont des enfants de moins de 5 ans vivant en Afrique.
Malaria is very costly to manage for endemic countries.
Le paludisme demeure un problème majeur de santé publique en Afrique.
Ekiruubirirwa cyane kwe kulaba ensi etali mu musujja gwa nsiri.
Pour en finir avec le paludisme, nous devons poursuivre la recherche et investir dans les solutions innovantes.
Noara yimbe ignaye sapo yeno itandiko de Burkina Faso.
Il est donc temps d'agir.
Kodok masira.
Es ist Zeit, dies zu ändern.
Now is the time to act. Bwe tukolera awamu tusobola okumalawo omusujja gw'ensiri.
Juntos podemos poner fin a la malaria.
Together we can end malaria.
Tillsammans kan vi utrota malaria.
Insieme possiamo sconfiggere la malaria.
Together we can end malaria.
And you, where is your hashtag? Waiting for you.
Thank you so much to Jean and to Louise for taking the time. We know that you are both very busy, but this is an important innovation that we believe should be shared with as many people as possible. So thank you. We have received some questions in the Q&A section, so I am going to facilitate those. The very first question is, of course, for you, Louise. It is by anonymous, so I can't unfortunately say your name, but the question is, what inspired the creation of Target Malaria, the game, for you?
Me, it was when we did our first ever exhibition. I had just started. And we had live mosquitoes to show people. We had other various things like posters, or we didn't have the card game yet in that either. We had just a few bits, nothing too interesting, but people had a lot of questions. How do you get the DNA, the modifications in the mosquito? Or what does it look like, a modified mosquito compared to a normal? And I thought, a lot of the techniques we do with microscopes are already like a computer game. If you look down a microscope, it's like looking at a computer screen. And then you use microinjection in real life, it's a mouse and keyboard. So luckily, I knew someone who's a games developer, and they were excited to be able to work on like this really useful project rather than making a game for just fun. It was a game that would be really useful for the world. So potentially. So that's how the inspiration came about. And after first making it, we've then had a lot of interest, like, oh, what about on phones? What about, can you include this? Or like all kinds of fun ideas. So it's had a lot of support since then. And this is just the beginning. It's going to go even further to tell the whole story. It should be amazing.
Thank you, Louise. And while I have you, there is another question to find out. Currently, there are 2 modules, but will more be released? And if so, can you talk a little bit more about what they will include?
So, yeah, so the beginning will be introduction, like videos in Africa, information about the problem of malaria through a video, and most likely. Then they'll be into the lab and they will do research on the computer, so information about malaria. Then there's the part where they get to create the genetic material that is going to be microinjected into the mosquitoes. So they'll learn about how to make a gene drive in the lab, assemble it. And after that, you've got transgenic mosquitoes. They'll end up doing experiments in the lab and also information about how we do it in the field in Africa. So include a lot of things from around the world, hopefully in the end.
Thank you. There is another question from Anonymous asking when the game was first released, which I can answer was in October of 2024. So it was at Q4 of last year. And then Jean, a question for you. Have communities played the game in Burkina Faso, for example? And if not, are there other communities that have played the game already?
Very good question, and thank you for the question. Notice that communities, yes, as community, we have working with mostly 2 villages, and you notice that has stakeholder engagement and harm. We have several of stakeholder of category of stakeholder. So now we can say that the game is set up only on the computer. So in the communities, not yet computer, you can notice that we are in Africa community. So we are waiting for maybe some other ways to do that. But community also have several of tools, yes, we are using to engage them and make sure that they understand the work we are doing. That's why I'm saying in the presentation that we are targeting mostly students, scientists, yes, enthusiasts with with this wonderful game. It will help them also to understand very well the target malaria activities as communities did. So just say that in the communities, in the village level, we don't have the game yet. But as students, yes, bit of them also already download and start doing the game. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Samuel, thank you from Uganda. We see your question very specifically around fishing communities and them being at risk. We are going to respond to your question writtenly. Daman is busy doing that at the moment. Esther, we see your question around translation into local languages for the game specifically. To answer your question quite shortly, the very first goal is to release a mobile version and a version for Mac computers. And then down the line, the goal is certainly to explore the possibility of using more local African languages. Anonymous, we have a question from Anonymous, and Louise, this is again for you. And they would like to know specifically in your lab and in your everyday work, have you used the game to train young researchers to practice some of these difficult tasks?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have. As soon as we have a new student, so we have students doing different levels of degrees from undergrads to masters to visiting summer students. So one of the first things I get them to do is come in here on these computers to have a go and try and beat each other's scores, because it's competitive. If you use the same computer, you can add your name, and then there's the element of competition there as well. But it's been at several exhibitions, as Jean was saying, in the UK. So like they're the UK's biggest science festivals, and we've had cubes of like mostly children on the school's days just queuing up to play a game patiently. And meanwhile, it's been useful because we get to talk to the parents as well about our work, like this is what your child's doing, and then they can ask more questions. Yeah, and then so training new lab members, we've done that a bit, and yeah,
great.
Public and some visitors from other areas of our own internal target malaria who work in different areas of the consortium.
Thank you, Louise. There are 2 questions that are, one is a comment and one is a question, but quite similar in nature. So I'm going to read them both out and open the floor to, I think, both of you to respond. But Louise, we can start with you. The first comment is, can this game be made available in schools? And then the question is from Bakunda Emmanuel. Is there an opportunity for students or interns to contribute to some of the ideas and the storylines and the testing phases of the game? Louise, we'll start with you.
So any school can play at the moment. They'll need just a normal computer. You can either download it directly from the link that was in the presentation, and follow the instructions on the video. Or if someone else already has the game, you can put it on a portable memory stick. So if your computer doesn't have internet, you can get the game from somewhere else where there is internet. And then for feedback, yeah, I'm really excited, and we're getting trying to find as much feedback as possible. So we do, I believe, have a link in the slides where you can go online and write down feedback. And yeah, I could also, so there's feedback on there. I will receive your feedback, and if you leave your details, we can chat about it as well.
Great, thank you. And then there is another question from Anonymous. Jean, I'll hand this one over to you. The question is, can you share some of the public's reaction in playing the game? For instance, has there been feedback from young children so far?
Thank you for the question. From now, we do not have, we not yet have some feedback about the game, but yes, the playing of the game. But for the setup, yes, they ask how can we set up this game and also play that. So we are sharing the movie showing how to set up the game and also to play it. So if not really on the game, we don't have also some feedback. Just say that is a good game or not a good game, or easy to play or not. Not yet that kind of feedback. But we hope that in the near future we will have it, because we can see that several students and scientists enthusiasts start setting up the game, and they will try and also come back with some feedback to us. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Bakunda, we see your next question specifically around how we are going to be able to measure the impact of the game on public awareness, and Ndaman is responding to your question in written form. And then another question from Anonymous. Louise, I'll pass this one on to you. They would like to know how many downloads has there been, and has the uptake been good?
I don't have the downloads from the page myself, but last count, it was over 100 at some point after we released it. So the webpage is edited by the games developer and Target Malaria's communications team. So I can find out from them what it is up to now, but it was over 100 when we first released it in December.
I believe, yeah. Great. I believe we are up to 200 as it stands. 200. And so far the feedback has certainly been good. And that is why, this webinar has been so useful in sharing this further and wider, so that we can get more people to know about it, more people to spread the word about it, and more people to download it and use it. I think that's the first and foremost goal of today's webinar. There are no more questions. I will wait 30 more seconds just to see if anybody else has any more questions. Okay, so in the chat we have a question. I believe, Bakunda, this is another question from you, just wanting to know when the game will be released and what are the milestones you've achieved to make this game. So I think, as we've said, the game was released in Q4 of last year in October, so it is available. As Louise said, you are able to download it from the link in the presentation, which we will share with you today. And certainly, the first milestone I think everybody would like to reach is more downloads, more people using it, more people reaching, and being able to access as many stakeholders as possible, as Jean said, in schools, in universities, with government officials, and that would be a great milestone. I believe those are all the questions. Thank you again, Louise and Jean, for answering those. And just a reminder to everybody on the call today that World Malaria Day taking place on the 25th of April, 2025. And this year's global theme is Malaria Ends With Us, Reinvest, Reimagine, and Reignite, which is why innovative tools such as Target Malaria, the game, is so important and so essential, and it puts solutions in all of our hands, because ending malaria isn't just a health priority, it really is an investment in a safer and a more equitable world. So please engage in the lead up to World Malaria Day using the hashtags on the screen, and please go and download the game and use it. As Louise said, share your feedback, share your comments. She would love to hear from you. This is really only the beginning, and there is so much more to come. And together we can certainly end malaria in this lifetime. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend today's webinar. On behalf of African Media Agency and Target Malaria, we thank you, and we hope to see you again soon. That brings the end to today's webinar. Thank you. Goodbye.